Welcome back to the Prepared School Psych Podcast. On today's episode, I wanted to share some of my takeaways as I recently completed my 5-part series, Goals Drive Service. In this series, I covered many different steps that lead to a well-written IEP. I started by discussing assessment best practices, which led to a discussion of the present levels part of the IEP. As you know, present levels are the foundation for the rest of the document. So then we moved to goals and finally stopped at services and supports for our students. As I was preparing for each of the 5 sessions and presenting to the participants live each session, what did I learn along the way? Start with takeaway number 1. Some things are not taught in graduate school. Whether your role is a school psychologist, special education teacher, or a speech and language pathologist, we all learned a great deal in our university preparation. But not every part of our current journey was actually discussed in graduate school. As I was creating some of the materials, I realized that for many people who contribute to writing the present levels of the IEP document, many of us were never trained on what to include or not include. Some school districts have provided some guidance and training, but many do not. Speaking for my own training and background in working with different school districts, I had never attended a training on how to write up the present levels or the impact of disability statement. Side note, I did a podcast episode all about the impact of disability statement, and if you missed that one, I will add that to the show notes for this episode. Takeaway number 2, writing in parent-friendly language is not easy for everyone. Again, let's go back to our university training programs. I did hear from some participants that their universities or school districts did provide expectations, guidance, and support in writing reports, summaries, and statements that fall in the IEP document without a lot of jargon. But once again, many did not. Throughout the training, I provided a number of examples of parent-friendly language, whether it was in summarizing assessment data or in writing a present level statement. If you need some examples, ask your district leadership to provide some great examples at your next job alike meeting. Takeaway number 3. Not all of our IEP documents can pass the stranger test. This is the odd term I have seen in preparing for this training series. If your student moved tomorrow out of state, could the team picking up your document understand how the student is currently functioning and exactly how to monitor the progress towards the goals that were written? Many times, team members are writing goals that include a site-specific curriculum. The other day, I was providing a similar training for another group, and someone read a goal aloud to the group, and it mentioned the list of irregular words. Is there one list of irregular words that every special education teacher knows about? Probably not. So my question to you, would all of your IEPs pass that stranger test? Takeaway number 4, and this will connect to the last takeaway, which is being able to answer the question, does the team who's picking up this document know the intention of what is in the document? Best example. Can anyone picking up the document understand the intention of the accommodations that are listed? My favorite, preferential seating. Does that mean close to the point of instruction for a student who struggles to attend, or near the back of the room so the student can stand up when they need to? Does it mean seated in a very specific spot in the room for a student with hearing loss? Another one of my favorite, extra time. We see that for extra time for tests, quizzes, maybe even assignments. Does that mean as much time as the student needs or time and a half? Does the student have the whole semester to turn in assignments or just one extra day? My last takeaway. Let's make sure the I is in the IEP document. How individualized is the document for this particular student based on their unique strengths, preferences, interests, and needs? Does every student who have math goals at one grade level all have the same math goals? Does every student who needs speech and language services require the same amount of service? Does every student with social emotional goals need individual counseling once a week for 30 minutes? Some students may need more service than that particular frequency, while others may require less to meet their goals. Some students' attention span may require 2 shorter sessions a week for counseling rather than one longer one. So again, my question is, how individualized are your IEP documents? I hope these 5 takeaways were useful for you. As you were listening, some of you were likely nodding your head and feeling very validated. Yes, this is how my team is doing this. Some of you may have thought, wow, me and my team, we need some extra support. If you need some extra support, access to the replays from my Goals Drive Service series are available. And the link to find out more is in the show notes. All right, everyone, until next time, have a great rest of your day.
That concludes another episode of the Prepared School Psych Podcast. And I hope today's discussion equipped you not just with knowledge, but also the confidence to take action. Remember, every conversation we have and every resource we share builds a bridge towards a more inclusive and empowering learning landscape for our students. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast for more insightful conversations and resources to support your journey. Share this podcast with colleagues. We would love it if you would also rate and review the podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Just a reminder, everyone, the information and advice provided in this podcast are for guidance purposes only, and all listeners are required to follow both federal and state law and their own school district guidelines and policies. Thank you.